that's when things got out of hand. The protesters.
So I'm watching the news
The police.
with the protesters and the police clashes all over the world. And I'm looking at mayhem and violence and destruction of property, looting, kill, steal, destroy, kind of stuff going on. And I have mixed feelings about it.
5, 6, 7, 8,
One,
9, at least.
I have a lot of friends who are dear to me of different minorities from different places around the world, and they're beautiful, intelligent, peaceful people. And two, I happen to be white, which is not my fault. And three, I grew up around police, and I grew up around a lot of violence and guns and police corruption. And four, I have been brutally attacked by a woman who was on drugs of color, and she only spent 4 days in jail, and she tried to kill me for no reason other than the fact that she was strung out on drugs and angry, homicidally angry. She said she didn't remember that night, and so I'm able to forgive her and let her go on her merry way and hope she doesn't continue a life of attacking people, because eventually she'll probably attack the wrong person. I've had a lot of injustices done to my life, and I've kind of weathered through the pain of that and the loss of having my character smeared in a smear campaign, perpetrated largely by a lawyer in my county, Mindy Wexelblatt, who lied about me to other lawyers and twisted some truths and painted me to look like a dangerous woman in front of Judge Clara Rigmaiden. I am more like a screaming marshmallow. Why? Because I have a lot of rage and anger in me over injustices, sometimes perpetrated by corrupt police officers. So there's a part of me that doesn't like certain police officers and certain people in authority who abuse their position of power. So rather than keeping people safe, they actually use their brutality to kill them. It does look like protesters have backing way up. However, they have not left the area. I've talked to a lot of people in my area. Some of them have been women. And once they're in police custody, they're not treated very well. They are intimidated by police officers sexually. Because some police officers can get away with a lot of bad behavior, because they are the law. So in some situations, they're kind of above the law. I was once held hostage, basically, in what could be construed as a Stockholm Syndrome marriage with a man who was a benevolent-ish dictator. And a narcissist. Everything had to be his way or the highway attitude. And then as things became more and more toxic, and I tried to escape through drinking, and I kind of imploded, and then I would explode, and then I would implode. Trying to stay balanced. And then dealing with corrupt officers who were his friends. After he raped me and cheated on me and got away with a lot of his bad behavior without getting held accountable. I went through some major rage when the judge handed my remaining children over to him, and they love him because I guess he's a changed man now.
Over 1 million singles trust Silver Singles to get back into dating. Signing up is easy. Start your search.
And he said people don't ever change. And so now I have nightly PTSD flashbacks to some of the abuse I went through and some of his rage and anger and being thrown up against the wall and screamed at and yelled at and pinned down on the bed and screamed at and yelled at. And people seem to like to scream and yell at me. Even my siblings. And some of my friends. I think I would rather be cussed at or screamed at than violently hurt or killed or raped.
Putting the two and two together, what you put into your body is what you get out. I know that if I'm eating a bunch of processed food, I'm not going to feel good.
Yeah.
Skin issues with I love what they're doing. It's already portioned out. It's eating whole food. It's amazing.
Tomorrow there is a protest march in Eugene. And I'm debating tonight on whether or not I'm going to go to it. One, I have a lot of I can understand the rage and anger of being treated unjustly, and I want to stand in protest of police brutality and mistreatment of minorities, or mistreatment really of anybody. But I also have a healthy fear, I think, of mobs and mob mentalities that can get out of control, especially if there's people, especially at night, especially if people are drinking or on drugs or anything, and they're just wanting to take out all their rage and anger by vandalizing and looting and breaking things and burning things and stuff. And I understand. I do understand the desire to do those kind of things. I've definitely had many nights just imagining all the things that I could do and all the corrupt buildings I'd like to blow up and all the stuff that I just that
If you suffer from muscle cramps in your legs,
rage and anger at injustices in the world. And this breaks my heart because it doesn't seem like things change. This is like history repeating itself all over again. I got to study about a lot of this stuff while I was at the U of O, working on a poetry degree and reading poetry written by African Americans and other minorities and Native Americans and stuff when they were in prison, reading memoirs of people who escaped Red China's Cultural Revolution and how horrible it is to live under a dictator or a tyrant, which we kind of have here in America now. It seems like, it seems kind of like Trump's a little bit kind of like an idiot president. Sounds a little bit like, America's kind of like, what is America now? Is it more like Germany or Russia or Afghanistan? Do we have Hitler in office? I thought I heard Richard Spencer address Capitol Hill and people were going, "Hail Trump," and I was like, Hitler? I thought you died a few years ago. You came back in Richard Spencer's body? And Richard Spencer came out of Germany, and he was in America. I don't know if he still is, but he was spewing his hate speeches all over campuses. So America's changing, obviously. We're in trouble. I kind of saw that writing on the wall back in 2016. I kind of saw that writing on the wall when I saw Trump running for office. And I started just seeing the out of out of the control narcissism and elitism and the haves and have-nots and the social structure.
Protest is a form of speech.
Yeah.
Protest is a form of
So I'm a protester,
For those who feel that their voices
kind of like a mama Dadaist. I've been traumatized, so I'm a traumatized drama mama Dadaist.
People who are frustrated and angry and want to be heard. Protests that turn to violence, however, only
Mob mentality can
emboldens the other side. It
turn
emboldens law-
quickly.
law and order extremists.
And I'm not a big, I don't like the violence. I would prefer to
The upper hand
duke it out differently.
cedes the high
I'd prefer to
ground.
duke
Martin
differences
Luther King
out
would say, "An eye for an eye,
on stage, maybe,
everybody blind."
with a microphone.
So tonight, as we watch
Or
these
in a,
demonstrations,
counseling session,
turn to violence, I hope that does
or a
not happen.
timed,
We're seeing some of
where everyone
that
has the
now.
same amount of time to be
We have
heard.
remember that
Or
whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's Minneapolis, whether it's Hong Kong, protests are a form of speech. But protests
a cussing match. I could out cuss people.
are innocent people.
They call me a name and I can call them a name, and then they can call me a name and then I can call them a name, and then they call me a name and then I call them a name, and then they call me a name and then I call them a name. And it goes back and forth like a ping pong game of name calling.
You're witnessing. You are a great voice to have.
And then nobody dies.
on air because
And
this
we
is a
get all of our
national
frustration out,
security
and then we walk
issue.
away
It's not just a protest, spiraling out of control
peacefully,
in one city.
as much as
We're talking
possible.
about multiple cities.
And if we
7
can't
people
live in
got
peace with
killed
each other,
violence
then we
in
keep our
Louisville,
distance
Kentucky. A protester
as much as possible.
intentionally hit by a car
There
in
are
Denver,
some
one police
people
officer in Oakland shot and killed. We
who
saw all that overnight disruption from Portland, Oregon to Detroit, Michigan. Dozens have been
don't like
arrested
me.
in New York City, in Los
and that's
Angeles
okay.
overnight. And again,
They don't have to.
It's just the beginning in some places. Like
There are
Los
some
Angeles,
people
where it's
who
picking up.
don't care about my
Is
crap.
the nation reaching a boiling
And that's okay. They don't have to.
We have not seen widespread
Some of them are Christians.
very, very
At least they say they are.
The level of frustration and anger
Um,
at instances of excessive
there are some people who do not respect authority,
that goes too far. That goes way
especially
too far.
mine.
And people are frustrated. People are angry. The
I have some authority in my world, and
they need to find
I can command authority.
As I said before, protest is a form.
And I can come across as a very scary person.
Not being heard. But we have to also recognize at a national level and city by city that protests that turn to violence overwhelm the message and cede the moral high ground and give strength and
grip around
to those
guns.
on the other side of the debate. Regrettably, our national leadership right now is
I was taught that guns are meant for hunting,
This is a time where we need
for food, hunting for food out in the woods, not hunting down people.
What do you make of how the national leadership has responded so far from what we've heard from the president?
Well, messages like
I was raised that your hands are meant to be used for
in this
helping,
very tense circumstance,
not
a president
punching.
delivers like that,
unless you're into boxing.
one segment of an audience when in situations like this, a president, national leadership needs to be talking to everyone. It needs to be a voice for reason, for calm.
I was raised
to those
to
instances that are real, and this one is, and at the same time
do equal gift exchanges.
come together.
So if somebody does something like throw a glass of water in my face, they might expect a bowl of water dumped on them. And I'll say, don't ever do that to me again.
What do you think needs to happen in order to de-escalate the situation? The president has, gone as far as to say we have our military ready, willing and able if they ever want to call our military. That's a quote from something he said today. He said that local and state leaders, they've got to be tough.
This is an unbalanced world. It's unbalanced.
What can be done in order to
Maybe it always has
de-escalate
been.
and also to get a sense of security, when
Thank God
these images
I live in America,
Well, first,
because I at least still have my freedom of speech rights, even though it feels like almost every other right that I get to enjoy has been taken away from me, like the right to be around my vital relationships, which would be my children, and play games with them or do something peaceful and fun with them. That's been taken away from me by corrupt people. Yep.
It's not just a matter of training, it's a matter of culture.
But it's okay.
In far too many communities,
I hope I raise my children better than to be going out and looting and stealing things and destroying public property or anybody's property and making situations worse than they already are.
And of course, we need police forces that reflect.
And this is coming from someone who's had the police called on me more times than I can remember, because it's a family tradition to call the police on me for things that I haven't even done. Which would mean why I probably don't have a police record.
Not just of the assailant, but the other officers who were standing by with their hands at their side, literally doing nothing.
But that's okay, because in my family, I deal with people who are delusional. They're delusional. And they like to be in power and control. And they like to shove women like me around. And, my children's stepmother put her arm on me and just shoved me away from getting to watch my daughter graduate. That was not a very nice thing to do.
As the Department of Homeland Security Secretary in the last administration, holding these positions of power.
Talk about a wall. I kind of feel like my ex-husband's had his knee on my neck, financially and symbolically and, all that for a long time. Because some days I feel like I can't breathe.
Well, I'm certainly not going to get into a debate with the professor.
Or I'm thankful I can breathe. That he didn't kill me.
I will say this, however. When we elected our nation's first black president in 2008, all of us, many of us, saw this.
And I don't like our president or his wife. I don't have to. I don't have to. Melania plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech. I would have been kicked out of the University of Oregon had I done that. I thought plagiarism was against the law. And I don't like the fact that Trump calls women skanks and horse faces and whatever other names he's called us. What an idiot man. He doesn't have any presidential dignity to him. He's a rich businessman puppet. He needs to go home and wank off to some Playboy magazine. Just retire with whatever dignity he can. And quit spouting things off and making things even worse. If he's going to quote something from 1968, he should probably do some research first and explain himself the first time he opens his mouth.
More coverage of the protests we are seeing.